You know me, I love small brands, and this one in particular is a pleasure to bring to you because it's a new Australian brand called Sparrods Co. And this is their brogue boot called the Outback. G'day, welcome to Bootlosophy, and my name is Tank. I'm on Gallup here in Perth, Kalikol Wajak Nongabuja. This is the Outback boot from new Australian brand Sparrods Co. Now let's unpack that a little. First, I was contacted by Sparrods Co.'s owner, Sam Kwame Nyako, to see if I would like a pair of boots to review. So, full disclosure, this pair was given to me to review, but with the usual no conditions about what I said, nor with any access to my review until it's published. They see it just like anyone else. I'm going to be interviewing Sam, and that video, assuming editing goes without a hitch, should be up tomorrow, so watch out for that. Second, I call it an Australian brand, even though their boots are made in Europe, in Portugal to be exact. Someone asked me if it really was an Australian brand if the products were made overseas. Now, in my view, it's as much an Australian brand as, say, Parkhurst, made in Portugal, or Grant Stone, made in China, are American brands. The company is incorporated in Australia. The inventory is warehoused in Australia, and Australia is where it pays taxes and where profits stay. Otherwise, Toyota make cars in the US, right? Is Toyota an American brand then? No. Let's start by looking at this new brand. Sam got the idea to start a footwear company in December 2016 when he was finding it difficult to buy classic dress shoes that were made well and made to last. It took a long time to bring to fruition, apparently. He spent the next few years in research and development. Sparrods Co. officially launched and went live in June of 2022. Now, Sam, he tells me, didn't find it an easy journey to come this far with the brand. He self-funded the business with limited capital of his own and also from income from his day-to-day job with no external funding. His goal was to craft shoes that marry comfort, durability, and style made by highly skilled Portuguese artisans using traditional methods and fine materials sourced from Europe's best tanneries in Italy, Spain, Portugal, France, and Germany. They mostly use box calf leather in their products as well as full-grain calf leather sourced from those tanneries. The box calf on this pair come from Weinheimer Leder in Germany. Depending on their styles, they use two types of construction: Blake Rapid or Mackay Stitch construction, same thing, or Goodyear welt construction. Sparrods Co. partner with a contracting factory in Porto in Portugal. Now, it's an old family-run workshop that's been making shoes for generations and has a reputation for producing high-quality shoes for many luxury brands. Because of its multiple contracts, as a result, as is often the case, their identity has to remain commercial in confidence due to these other contractual requirements. They use traditional techniques and tools to create each pair of shoes basically by hand. They also inspect each pair of shoes before sending them to Sam in Canberra in accordance with Sam's set QC standards. Now, Sam initially used European designers to kick off his offerings, and now he works closely with this Portuguese workshop to design and develop their shoe models using their expertise and feedback to refine the product offerings. The Outback boot is what we and the Brits call a brogue boot, what Americans might call a long wing or a wingtip. The brogue holes are now decorative, but originally in Britain, they were worn by Scottish and Irish farmers and hunters traversing wet marshes and bogs. Counterintuitively, they kept their feet drier, or at least more comfortable. Not by preventing water from going in their holes, but rather allowing water to drain out quickly instead of allowing water to pool and fill the boot. The water would have come in anyway. This is a way of drainage. Now, brogues fall into two camps today. The typical English country boot like the Tricker Stow for a more casual and obviously outdoor use, or the dressier city boot like this, much more like an American interpretation of a wingtip boot. Here's an interesting thing that Sam told me. Apart from Australia, he sells to customers in New Zealand, USA, Canada and Europe, and he has a few customers from Japan, South Korea and Singapore as well as South America. Before President Trump removed the de minimis threshold of US $800 from all international orders, the US market actually accounted for 40% of its monthly revenue, which I think goes to show how much this meets US tastes for a dress shoe design. In this style, it's about 6 inches high from the top of the heel. It's made in a derby lacing style with open lacing quarters, a low and flat sole profile, and a low block heel. The pattern has a pretty unique squiggly toe rows of brogue holes. It has a brogue and pinked long wing toe cap that elongates like wings down the sides. And the quarters, they're not pinked, but they have decorative brogue holes all along the edges. In this dark espresso coffee color and with 7 blind eyelets, the profile is sleek and dressy, and from the top is also slim with an elongated toe box to allow for the curve of your toes and not to squish them, and then ends in an almond toe. Because of the elongated toe box, my toes end more than the usual thumb's width from the tip of the boot, more like a thumb and a pinky finger width really. The style is similar to the Thursday wingtip. I have the Thursday wingtip in dark oak, and the look and even the feel of it on foot is very similar. You know, as an aside, it's funny. I know when a viewer doesn't finish the video before they type in a comment. In the unboxing video of this, a viewer commented that it looked like the Thursday wingtip, missing me saying it when I said it further into the unboxing video. But what can I say, guys? Watch to the end. And then click on like and subscribe as you comment. So let's dive into the construction. Starting from the bottom and going upwards, the outsole is a proprietary studded outsole like Day-Night. The studs are actually molded quite sharply, and the feel is a little more give and grip than a Day-Night. The heel stacks are actually real leather, topped by a studded top lift, glued and nailed on. The construction is Blake Rapid Stitch or McKay Stitch. And in this form, I understand it to be like this. The uppers are lasted and turned in and stitched to the insole and a leather welt. Then the rubber midsole is attached and Blake stitched inside to the insole. The midsole has a cork filler and a steel shank, and then the outsole is attached and then stitched on through the welt. This is not quite a Goodyear welt method because the uppers are attached through a Blake stitch inside the boot rather than at the edges of the welt. But there should be sufficient water resistance for everyday use if that's what concerns you, because that Blake stitch that's inside doesn't go all the way through to the outsole, allowing water to wick through, the single stitch hole that goes all the way through. The advantage is that it's faster to craft, therefore cheaper. It is lighter and it's easier to break in. But the disadvantage is that it can let water in with prolonged use in wet places, just simply through seepage. It can be repaired, it can be resoled, and I think about as easily as a Goodyear welt. Inside the boot, they use a foam-bottomed removable leather insole liner, which provides quite a nice squish on top of the leather insole, very similar to Thursday's pour-on insole. If you lift it up because it's removable, you can see the Blake stitch on the inside and the nails at the heel. The uppers are German tanned box calf from Weinheimer Leather Tannery. It has a really nice grain available, very fine, and while it did crease easily, the creases are very fine crystalline creases that show in the rolls of the leather. The leather has a supple and waxy feel. It's firm enough to keep its shape, and I think it will take a polish well. Taking care of this leather, I don't think should be a problem if you treat them like dress shoes. Make sure you brush them regularly. In this waxy finish, I don't think you need to go nuts and brush them after every wear though. Maybe, once a week if you wear them all the time. it's important to just keep them clean from accumulating dust and sandy grit, always the enemy of leather. Condition them maybe twice a year with something like my go-to Venetian shoe cream. Apply a thin coat, wait until it dries, and then brush them with a good quality brush. As I said, I think this leather will polish well, so you can finish off with a thin coat of wax polish, let it haze, and then brush them really well and buff them with a cloth. The finishing, the stitching, the brogues, the pinking, they're all really nice. They're very clean, very accurate. I'm not sure what the heel counter and toe stiffness are, but from the feel, I think they're celastic. The whole boot is lined on the inside with a soft glove leather. The tongue is not gusseted, and for me, it has begun to slip to one side. However, the lace facings are designed to close up quite tight, so that helps in keeping the tongues from slipping too much. The blind eyelets look really well done. No fraying in or out, even after I struggle to lace them up because the laces provided, they're just a smidge too thick for the really small eyelets. Now, I don't mind blind eyelets and I don't mind the laces provided. They're actually quite good, but they could match each other a bit better. If you go and see my video about lasts that's used for boots, you'll see me explaining how starter or small brands can often struggle with offering a full suite of sizes, including half sizes, because the development and production of enough lasts to be used can be extremely costly. Sparrods Co don't offer half sizes in this model, which could be an issue for some of you. Taking my example, my true UK and Australian size is 7.5 in standard width. For you Americans watching, that's 8.5 US in D width. As you probably know, most American brands size large, so although the boot itself might measure for my true 8.5, for some reason they call those sizes an 8. This is why you get advice to buy a half size down. Your feet haven't changed in measurement, obviously. The manufacturers just call an 8.5 an 8. In this way, I wear a size 8 in Red Wing, in Parkhurst, Grantstone, really in most other American boots. UK and European and most Australian brands, however, mark them true to size. So if it measures a 7.5, they actually call it a 7.5. Long story short, I should take this in a 7.5, but Sparrods don't do halves. So in discussion with Sam, I took this in a UK 8, or that's a European 42, when my usual is a 41.5. It is roomier than I need. The slim last was helpful so that it didn't feel, really sloppily huge. But I did have to put in a pharmacy-bought foam insole filler so that it actually fit the volume better. The length, I think to be honest, is probably only about, a centimeter longer than it should be for me. But the volume was what made it feel loose. So using the insole filler, it feels fine. As for comfort, I have worn this now for about a month. The first week, I wore it every day. I usually extend the daily use for a second week, but I didn't need to in these because they broke in comfortable within days. For the last 3 weeks, I've been wearing them on and off 2 or 3 times a week. The underfoot comfort is really good, and the fit, with the extra filler, is snug enough to be supportive. Arch support is good, and ankle support is firm. I'll tell you more about that later. It's a small thing, but because the laces are too thick for the eyelets, and I think they're well balanced for this boot, I don't want to change them. And because the leather is really firm, because the lacings close a lot, it's actually difficult to get your feet in and then lace up. The collar's a bit stiff and laced up tight. Even now, I feel a stiff edge pushing into my ankle. Part of the reason is that it has a rolled collar, so in effect, it has 3 thicknesses of leather at the collar. That's the 2 thicknesses rolled over of the uppers, plus the thickness of the lining. I suppose more wear and bending will break that in over time. So finally, what do I think of value? This is currently listed at 439 Aussie dollars. And if you use the currency drop down on the website, it's 317 USD. I wouldn't compare this to a Northampton Brogue boot. Those generally are priced at premium prices. And to be fair, Northampton boots have a history and craftsmanship beyond this pair. But how does this compare to Thursday's wingtip boot? Those sell for US $249 made in Mexico. The Thursday boots use a foam insole, whereas these have leather, amongst other things also made of leather. In style and feel, these are quite similar to the Thursdays, except that the Thursdays have a chisel toe. And in fact, I have no idea how Thursday keeps their prices down in today's world. In Australia, buying a Thursday wingtip, including GST and shipping, they'll come to you at Aussie $444. Look, the value is not bad. I wouldn't say it's groundbreaking, but you can buy ridiculous glued construction brogue dress boots at the department stores here for the same price, if not more, and they'll last you a lot less years. So make your own calculations. In summary, I like this pair. I wish I had my size. I wish it was easier to lace up. But it is a nice boot to wear to my professional office and maybe a night out. It has a place in my rotation. Well, thanks for watching. I hope you like this video and I hope you click on the like button. And if you're not subscribed, I hope you click on the subscribe button as well. Next week, I'm hoping to put up a video on Aussie boot brands. So sub to make sure you see it. And no, Nick English from Stridewise, no. There's not just the one brand. Also, don't forget tomorrow, same time, my interview with Sam from Sparrods Co. Until then, you guys take care out there and I'll see you back here soon.